Hi, this is Chris Bentson, and it's time for another Resource Minute. Today's topic, get out of the basement of your practice. What does that mean? Well, the basement is where we store things, and a lot of those things are old ideas, old things we used to decorate for holidays and things like that. But if you wanted to try something new, you wouldn't go to the basement. You'd go get something new at a store or meet a friend and get a new idea or something like that. So I want you to be thinking during this Resource Minute about what is something new I could implement in my practice to make it stronger. And to do that, I'm going to look at the historical data, and I'm going to concentrate not just on production and collections, but on starts, that third category. And this is from 2020 through mid-year of this year. And so you can kind of read across and you can see what happened in the COVID year, the great bounce back, and then 3 down years in a row. That was the first time we had 3 down years in a row. And then in 25, we were up 2%. That was last year, so not great, but not terrible. And this year we're up 1% in starts. Again, not so great. And so if you want to outperform these numbers, if you want to do above the 60-year average of 3% year-over-year start growth, what do you have to do in your practice to make that happen? You're not going to go to the basement and use an old idea and make it happen, because I think the market has fundamentally changed a little bit and it's going to be hard to grow. You're going to have to implement some new ideas. What are some options? Start a retainer program. The data shows if you do that, you might improve the production of your practice by 5%. And that's just with the patients coming through the door and the starts that you have. You might do better with insurance coding. If you can get more discreet about how you code insurance, the data shows that about $300 per patient that has insurance could probably flow to the bottom line. There's companies that can help do that. You can use a consultant. The data that we see in our shop when we value a practice shows that if you use a consultant, you outperform the market. So they're out there to help. You know, on the technology side, we think remote monitoring answers a lot of questions for the consumer who's driving for efficiency and convenience. See people less, but stay in touch with them through remote monitoring. Indirect bonding is probably one of the hottest ideas in the bracket world. It's offered by all the bracket companies and the custom companies, and it shows, again, maybe you don't finish patients faster, but you see them less, and that checks a big box for the consumer. It helps people grow, and it's a differentiator still. Re-engage with referrals, re-engage with the community. These are things that don't cost you a lot of money. We know we're not getting as many referrals today as we used to get, but instead of just not talking to those referring dentists, engage with them. And yeah, maybe they're doing some aligner cases, but maybe you get some of the more complex cases from them if you re-engage. We think that's a great idea. So a number of ideas. There's a whole lot more. That's not an exhaustive list, but the idea is get out of the basement. You need to change. Somebody I listened to a lot when I was young and growing up in this profession was Jim Rohn. And he used to always say, if you will change, everything will change for you. What are you going to change in the second half of 2026? You make the decision, and I think you'll see great results. That's the Resource Minute we thought you'd like to know.